Perfectionism is one of the top 10 imposter syndrome behaviours. That is, it's very common. Now, imposter syndrome is secretly feeling like a fraud when you're not, and the fear of being found out. And perfectionism can lie at the heart of imposter syndrome experience for many people. Many people are very willing to admit that they have perfectionism, but they very quickly justify perfectionism and say, well, that's just high standards, or I need to be very detail oriented in my job, and if I wasn't a perfectionist, I wouldn't do my job well. But there's a big difference between perfectionism and high standards. Perfectionism has three major problems. The first problem is that there is no ideal, there is no perfect. Okay, in a very small set of circumstances, you're able to get 10 out of 10 on a test, but in most of our life, there is no out of 10 score. There's just how we do in our everyday lives, in the roles that we play as a parent or a spouse or a leader. And we have qualities like our intelligence, our beauty, our fitness, our courage. But there's no out of 10 score in these things. There is no ideal and there is no perfect. So the very fact that we try to be perfect in this realm is doomed to failure. It's not going to work because we haven't defined it well in the first place. And that means we're always chasing this ideal that we cannot reach. And that means we're continually disappointed in ourselves. And this is where it taps into imposter syndrome, because then we feel that somehow we're not quite good enough because we haven't been perfect in whatever it is we were trying. The second big problem with perfectionism is that it's always a focus on the negative. We might have done something really well, and instead of looking at the 98% that we did fantastically, we look at the 2% that wasn't quite right, or there was a mistake or an error. It's always looking at the negative, and this is the lens through which we see the world and our lives, and it leads to this large level of dissatisfaction, and we don't get the opportunity to stand back and look at the 98% and really enjoy our success. Yes, I did that well. Yes, that worked out really well. I'm happy about that. I'm pleased with that. The third big problem of perfectionism is that it's a fear of doing something wrong. It's a fear of making a mistake. It's a fear of failure. It's a fear of being wrong, a fear of not being good enough. And that's where it connects with imposter syndrome. It feeds into this feeling of not being good enough. When you're driven by perfectionism, then you are driven by this need to get it right. And that fear creates anxiety, and that anxiety creates stress, a constant level of stress when you're doing something. So you're not enjoying the work, you're not enjoying it for work's sake, you're stressed and you're worried that you won't be perfect. And then what happens is you start to get frustrated with yourself, frustrated and angry with other people around you, and it's not a great work environment, and it's not sustainable in the long term. This is how perfectionism can lead to burnout. Now, the irony in perfectionism is that when we are under this stress, this fear of failure, this need to get things right, we're under so much stress and in so much anxiety and emotion that we're actually more likely to make a mistake. So the perfect that you're striving for becomes even further away. When we're working on addressing perfectionism as part of imposter syndrome in the Inner Success program, it's all about separating out that feeling that I need to do something perfect with its desire for high standards. And when you can operate from a place of desire for high standards without the need to be perfect, then you're going to start to really enjoy the work that you do, and enjoy the stretch, enjoy the challenge, and enjoy the high standards without driving yourself to burnout. If you'd like to be able to operate from a point of relaxation and enjoyment and challenge and enjoying your success, then click on the link and find out about the Inner Success program that's designed to get rid of imposter syndrome and allow you to perform at your best in a relaxed and happy manner.